Donald Trump has got to go.
Hi, this is Ben Wickler, MoveOn.org Washington Director. I am outside of the Supreme Court of the United States. Right here in Washington, D.C., Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and other Democrats are going to be speaking at this protest against the Muslim ban. There are at least 1,000 people out here right now. I'm just going to lift this up so you can see the crowd. There's the United States Capitol. That's the U.S. Capitol.
No ban.
There's the Supreme Court.
No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No.
So as you can see, tons of people are gathered here. They're streaming in from all sides already. This is going to be the site of this press conference by Democrats. Today, the Democrats in the Senate succeeded in using procedural methods to stop the vote in committee on Mnuchin, which is great. That's exactly the kind of energy and tactics to just shut down Trump's progress until he actually moves back in line with the Constitution and stops this outrageous and unconstitutional Muslim ban that has blocked thousands of people from entering this country. Normally, they would be allowed to do so totally lawfully, that separated children from their parents. The energy at the protest this weekend was incredible. Tens of thousands of people turning out across the country, at airports, in public places. And Democrats started actually showing up at these protests and fighting back against the Muslim ban. Today in the Senate, they started fighting back as well. They are hearing the pressure from grassroots Democrats, and we're going to hear from them tonight about how they're going to move forward. So again, we are here at the Supreme Court of the United States, a couple blocks from the Senate, across the street from the Capitol. I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see this energy in the crowd again. I'm here with a couple of my Move On colleagues, Jamia Adams and Emma Einhorn. Again, I'm Ben Wickler, Washington Director. And I'm going to flip this around. Here we go. No human being is illegal. Refugees welcome here. Refugees welcome here. Dissent is patriotic. You can see the signs. That is the U.S. Capitol in the background. That is the podium where we're going to be speaking. We're going to hear from refugees, refugee families.
Refugees are welcome here, no hate, no fear.
Islamophobia is un-American.
Refugees are welcome here, no hate, no fear. 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 Refugees are welcome.
This crowd is growing very quickly. Democrats were scheduled to speak at 6, but I think they're busy fighting against Trump nominees in the Senate, so we welcome their delay, as long as they are delaying the Republican Trump extremist agenda. This is a great turnout. It is below freezing here in Washington, D.C. My hand holding the phone for Facebook Live is freezing as we talk, but it is very, very much worth it. I will flip the camera around so you can see the crowd a little bit more as we wait for the Democrats to arrive and start speaking. As you can see, there's a lot of media turned out for this event as well. You'll probably be able to see, you can see all the news cameras here right in front of me. Thanks to all the folks that are sharing this. If you are watching this on your feed right now, you can press a button to share it, and it's going to spread out to a lot more people. It would be great to get a significant group of folks able to see the Democrats. And frankly, oh, here we go. Looks like some official-looking people coming out in front.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
When refugees are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
We now have more than 2,000 people watching live. Again, we are right outside the U.S. Supreme Court and the United States Capitol. This is a protest that came together extremely quickly against the Muslim ban, against President Trump's, hard to say that phrase, totally unconstitutionally illegal actions. And here we go. That would be Nancy Pelosi standing in front at the lectern there, Democratic leader, about to address the crowd. Thousands of people protesting outside the Capitol here.
Walk the walk. Walk the walk. Walk the walk.
Right now we are hearing the crowd, but not.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can't hear you!
Good evening, everyone.
Everybody!
Proud to stand with the members of the House Democratic Caucus, soon to be joined by the Senate Democrats as well.
Oh yeah, there's the royals.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very proud to stand here with the members of the House. Joined by the Senate Democrats as well, sharing views in a bipartisan way with many of our Republican colleagues who agree that what the president did undermines our values and is not in support of the oath of office that we take to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Can you hear
Where's the audio guy?
Step 1, Democrats speaking up. Step 2, amplify their voices.
This land is your land.
This land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
I went walking there in the highway. I saw below me an endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley.
This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
This land is your
land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
Thank you, Joe Crowley, for getting us through the sound here. This land is our land. It's the land of our founders. It's the land of our future. I am proud to be standing here with the members of the House Democratic Caucus, 100% of our House Democratic leadership, right? Standing lawyer, Mr. Kyver, Mr. Crowley, Ms. Sanchez, other members who will shortly be joined by our colleagues from the Senate Democrats, but we share a view with our Republican colleagues that what the president did is not constitutional. Indeed, in the view of many of us, it is immoral. Protect all of us take an oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. What the president has done is not in the interest of security. It is
Crowd passing a bullhorn up to Nancy
It
Pelosi.
is reckless and rash to protect our Constitution and our people. We must be strong and smart. And
Here
now
comes Chuck
I'm
Schumer,
joined by our
Democratic Senate leader.
Leader of the United States Senate, Mr. Schumer. We share a view of the importance of the words on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. You know the rest. It's a statement of values of our country. There's a recognition that the strength of our country is in our diversity, that the revitalization constantly of America comes from our immigrant population. It would now be my time to introduce two very brave, determined, courageous, optimistic newcomers to our country. But first, I'm going to introduce and yield to a champion for the principles embodied in the Statue of Liberty and fought for since our country began, including this weekend in airports throughout the country. I thank all of you for coming. I ask all of you to welcome the distinguished leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this order is against what we believe in America. The order will make us unsafe. The order will make us inhumane. And the order will make us less of America. Because this order is what America is all about. It will make us unsafe because it will encourage those who are lone wolves as they get more and more isolated, who are our greatest danger. It will make us unsafe because it makes our soldiers who are fighting overseas have fewer allies. And it will make us unsafe because the nations of the world will no longer look up to us. But most of all, it is against what America is all about. America, for its history, has been a shining beacon, and it has said, we welcome you if you are oppressed because of your religion, because of your political beliefs, because of who you are. The lady in the harbor, in the city in which I live, holds a wonderful torch. That torch has stood for the greatness of America to all Americans and to the citizens of the world. We will not let this evil order extinguish that great torch. We will not let this evil order make us less American. We will fight it with everything we have, and we will win this fight.
Let us all hold our candles high as the Statue of Liberty, the Lady of Liberty, holds the torch high. Our president has stooped low in this order. We here tonight ask the president to withdraw this unconstitutional order. Yes. And now it is my privilege, our privilege, to introduce Farah Amir Kamal and Omar Al-Maghdad with their stories, their courageous stories.
To the president.
Then next, we will have
Yes, Senator Chris Murphy.
Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut coming to the front. He's been a champion fighting against this
Senator
executive order.
Hirono.
There's John Lewis. A bunch of congressional leaders jammed in here to this protest.
Okay.
Got to be several thousand people here gathered now.
We can
Jerry Nadler, who
Thank you
went
very
to
much.
the airport and
Thank
helped
you, Leader Pelosi
free
and Senator
some of the families
Schumer.
who've been detained.
And Congressman Jerry Nadler, I represent the 10th Congressional District in New York, the home of the Statue of Liberty and the home of Ellis Island. Those symbols of America's proud tradition of welcoming people to our shores are a little beaten and battered today because of the little man in the White House, Donald Trump. When the president signed his dangerously stupid executive order Friday afternoon, I knew that it was unconstitutional, discriminatory, and morally reprehensible. What I did not know was that people all over this country would join together so quickly to fight this outrageous policy and to help those in need. That gives me great hope that our country can overcome this dark time. We must overcome this dark time. We must overcome this little man in the White House who is disgracing our history and disgracing our traditions. We must continue to welcome people from all over the world, regardless of their race, or their color, or their religion, or their creed, or their national origin. That's what our Constitution demands. That's what our law demands. That's what our people demands. And we will prevail.
Then Jerry Nadler, who personally went to the airports where people were being detained and helped get their freedom.
No man, no wall. No man, no wall. No man, no wall.
Senator Ben Cardin. We are here tonight to make sure that this executive order is repealed and never becomes effective here in the United States of America. This executive order on immigration and refugees is reckless, it's dangerous, and I am ashamed about that executive order. It's against the principles of our nation. It makes us less safe. When we rely upon our allies to help us, we are isolating America with this executive order. We will not allow this nation to impose a religious test as to who can come to America. That is not the United States that we love. We're going to speak out and do everything we need to make sure this does not happen here under our watch. We are united to say no to this type of action. We're going to be here tonight. We're going to be on the floor of the Senate. We're going to be on the floor of the House. We're going to take this debate to the American people. What you see here tonight is happening all over this country. And people are standing up around the world. They need the U.S. leadership for refugees. And the United States must answer that call. So together, we are committed to make sure this executive order is repealed. Together, we will succeed. We will.
I'm Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez, and I represent the 7th Congressional District.
Nydia Velázquez went with
In New
Representative
York.
Nadler. The two of them fought for the release of some of the detained families.
I was with my colleague Jerry Nadler. We were called by immigrant groups to alert us that there were people that were about to be deported. And I am here to say, as a member of Congress, Mr. President, what you did is shameful. This it is not how you run the government to issue such an executive order that is unconstitutional, that undermines the national security of our country, but also that mistreat people who work like Ahmed Darwish. It breaks my heart to see how these refugees who are seeking a better life, who are escaping violence from these countries, that we turn our backs on them. That is not who we are. That is un-American. And we will fight to bring justice to everyone in this country, and especially those refugees that are escaping the realities and the horror. Imagine
Imagine for these men who work for the U.S. government to make it to New York legally and to be detained. Imagine what it was for him to see his wife and his children allowed to enter the United States, and he was handcuffed. That is not the American way, and we are here to say, Mr. President, we're asking you to please reverse this ill-conceived, ill-advised executive order. It's totally un-American. That is not who we are.
Now, we are asking, we have our two people who just came here, refugees. If you're here, come forward. Farah Amar Kamal and Omar El Muqad. In the meantime, we'll first have Senator Cory Booker.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Test, 1, 2. Can you hear now? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Today we don't stand out here as members of Congress. We don't stand here as members of a race or a religion. Today we all stand here as American citizens. Every generation of American citizens have had to earn the right to enjoy the freedoms and the privileges of citizenship. Every generation has faced the choice. Do we let our ideals expand or retract? Do we let our freedoms grow or do they retrench? Do we let love expand or do we let love be beaten by hate? This generation now has our test. There is a shadow hanging over our ideals and our values. There is an assault on our values and our principles. And now more than ever, we must choose to fight. We must choose to resist. We must choose to stand up for what we believe in. Now more than ever. Now more than ever, as Donald Trump proceeds with an unconstitutional and immoral executive order, we must stand up to this test and fight to make sure that the truth of America is known. I want this last point to be clear. Nothing worthwhile is easy. The values that we enjoy, the freedoms that we have, were paid for by the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors. We now cannot choose to luxuriate in those fights before us. We must earn them now. This fight will be long, this fight will be difficult. But we must understand, when somebody attacks Muslim Americans, they attack all of us. When someone attacks with prejudice, we must respond with love. And so I call on everybody standing here and those that can hear my voice, that we now must be determined to fight for the long haul. We must be determined to stand up for refugees. We must be determined to stand up against hate. Thank you. New Jersey loves refugees!
That was Cory Booker here outside the United States Supreme Court. Share this video so that other folks see it. Democrats are gathered to fight back against the Muslim ban. I'll flip the camera back around.
Saturday, I received frantic calls in Los Angeles. There were 50 Iranian detainees with green cards that were being held. And I got a call from a constituent whose brother-in-law had a green card but was returning back from Syria and was detained. And so I rushed to LAX to demand answers from CBP, the Customs and Border Patrol. But they denied any response to us. And we found out that amongst those being detained were a 78-year-old woman, a 7-month-old child, a man with a green card who'd had this home for 20 years.
And so, this cannot be the America that we know. Donald Trump's Muslim ban is...
Do your job! 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 Do your job!
Okay, now we have somebody, a newly arrived American from Farah Amar Kamel.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Farah Amar Kamel Al-Kafaji. I arrived in the United States 3 years ago. I started my work with the U.S. military. I established engineering business, supporting your U.S. military, U.S. troops in Iraq. I supported the U.S. military in Iraq in 2003 with my father and all my family. In 2006, my husband was murdered and my father was kidnapped and tortured because our support for the U.S. military, because our belief in the U.S. mission. And my family applied for their visa, and so did I. And I got approved in 2012 after waiting 8 years. 8 years, every day I hide, everywhere. I lived in all cities with my 2 boys, and so is my family. They still in Iraq, they still suffering. My father getting old, I need to see him. I cannot go back. I'm a military spouse. My husband is a military in the Navy, and I cannot go back to Iraq, and I cannot see my father and my family in Iraq, and I need help. This decision is do nothing but separate my family apart, and I pray that the president will change his mind and will do something to reunite me with my family again. I need to see them, and they're great people, and I promise you they pose no threat for your national security and for no one. They're just amazing people, great people to live with, to work with, and everything. I appreciate your time and for everything. Thank you.
Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren.
Elizabeth Warren here outside the United States Supreme Court protesting the Muslim ban.
Donald Trump has issued an executive order that is illegal, that is unconstitutional, and that is immoral. We are here to fight back. Donald Trump is trying to chip away at the very foundation of our democracy. This country is in crisis. It is no longer business as usual in the United States Congress. It is no longer business as usual in Washington. We are here to step up in this moment. Americans are a good and decent people. We stand with our fellow human beings who flee terrorism. We stand with the people who helped American soldiers. We stand with the people who came here to study, to work, who have families here. We will fight Donald Trump in the courts. We will fight Donald Trump in the Congress. We will band together to fight Donald Trump as he tries to put himself above the law of the United States. This is truly the purest form of patriotism. We are here to defend the Constitution of the United States. We are here to defend our moral foundation. We are here to live our values, to fight for our values today and tomorrow and for as long as it takes to restore the basic decency and vision of this country. This is who we are.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, and we have another one of our new...
There are a bunch of members of Congress who are leaving for votes. There are immigrants and refugees speaking with these senators. That was Elizabeth Warren. We're outside the United States Supreme Court at this protest.
Guys, thank you all for being here tonight. First of all, just before I start introducing myself, there's one thing I want to make real quick. Refugees are not your enemy. Your enemy is the one who made them refugees. My name is Omar Al-Muqdad. I came to this country as a refugee from Syria. I'm a Syrian journalist and filmmaker. I'm an American journalist and filmmaker from a Syrian descent. I fled persecution. I fled Assad regime because I was there followed, harassed by Syrian security forces. I came here seeking freedom, the freedom of speech, the freedom of expressing my opinion without being harassed by police and by security forces. I believe in American principle. I believe in liberalism. I believe in American principle and everything America stands for. I am not your enemy. I'm not terrorist. And what's going on out there is really a generalization. It's a definition of generalization. You can't paint 7 million Syrian refugees with a single brush and call them terrorists. That's wrong. I want to salute you all for being here. Thank you all. You represent the beautiful face of the United States of America. Thank you very much. Rajat Krishnamurthy. I'm a congressman from Illinois' 8th District. Like my colleagues, I took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. I was elected to help grow the economy and help to unify the country. The executive order that was just issued is an assault on the Constitution. It hurts working families and the economy, and it divides our country. It's time to fight back. Are you ready for the fight? Yeah! You've heard of evangelical Christians, and I respect them. I'm an evangelical American. I preach the values of liberty, freedom, equality, hard work, and prosperity. If you believe in those values, you are an American. Regardless of orientation, the color of your skin, how you pray, whom you love, and yes, the number of letters in your name. All that matters is you live a good life, you take care of your family, and you give back to your country. Are you ready for the fight? Yeah! God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
Great Middle West, Amy Klobuchar.
I'm here because people need to understand that this isn't just about the coast. This is something that hits at the heartland of America. Minnesota has the second biggest Hmong population in the country, the biggest Somali population, the biggest Liberian population, and this hits everyone in our state. We are proud of our refugees. We are proud of their families. And my story I will leave you with is this. We had a family that went out to dinner, and they were sitting there, and a man walked by. They were Muslim, and the man walks by and says, "What are you four doing here?" And the woman says, "We're out for dinner." And he says, "You go home. You go home to where you came from." The little girl looks up at her mom, and she says, "Mom, you said that we could eat out tonight. I don't want to go home." You think about that little girl. She didn't even know what he meant, because she only knows one home, and that's my state. And she only knows one home, and that's the United States of America. This order is callous, and it's created chaos, and it must be reversed.
Mazie Hirono from the great state of Hawaii.
Fred was a civil rights activist, and during the height of the anti-Japanese hysteria in World War II, when 120,000 Japanese Americans were sent off to internment camps, Fred Korematsu stood up and said no. He said no, and he was tried and convicted for going against the government's orders. And it was 40 years later that some new evidence was found that showed that the government had hidden some evidence from the Supreme Court because Fred had taken his case all the way to the Supreme Court, which said that the mass internment was justified because of wartime exigencies. It took 40 years for Fred Korematsu to be vindicated. Whenever our country targets a group, like the Japanese Americans or Muslims, history shows that we have been wrong. So I am an immigrant. My mother brought me to this country in steerage, and if the Trump limitations on immigration have been in place, I would not be standing here today fighting with all of you. We have to fight against this targeting of Muslims, because if we do not stand up today, we will be complicit in what follows. So no ban, no wall. We stand with you. Aloha.
We'll hear from Andre Carson, Muslim member.
Greetings from the great state of Indiana. I'm Congressman Andre Carson. Not only do I represent Indiana's 7th Congressional District very proudly, but I happen to be a Muslim and a former police officer. I want Mr. Trump to know, just as I worked at the Indiana Department of Homeland Security and Counterterrorism, there are thousands like me in our law enforcement community helping to keep America safe. I'm reminded of the great dialogue after the Constitutional Convention between Ben Franklin and a lady by the name of Mrs. Powell. She looked at old Ben and said, well, Ben, what do we have? Do we have a republic or a monarchy? Ben looked at her and he said, we have a monarchy if you can keep it. A republic. The Socratic question becomes, how do you keep the republic? You keep the republic by having thousands of people, Christians, Muslims, Jewish brothers and sisters, Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, non-theists, showing up and showing out and saying, Mr. Trump, this is not a monarchy, this is a democracy. We want to show Mr. Trump and the Trump administration that all are welcome to the United States, and this is how we keep the republic, by uniting as fellow human beings and saying, no ban, no wall.
No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban.
Bernie Sanders of Vermont.
Bernie! To send a very loud message to Mr. Trump. And that is, your ban in denying people the right to visit our country contradicts everything that this country stands for and what our men and women in the military have fought for. Our job is to bring people throughout the world closer together, not to divide them up. And not only is this ban a violation of what we as Americans stand for, it will make us less safe, not more safe. Because what Trump has done is give ammunition to the jihadists all over the world who have told their people that we in the United States hate them. We do not hate the Muslim people, and we want them to know that. So we say to President Trump, rescind that ban. Thank you. Fight back.
Senator Al Franken and Nancy Pelosi talking, Senator Blumenthal behind them here outside the Supreme Court. Thousands and thousands of people here.
Great state of Minnesota. You know, Amy Klobuchar just came up here. She said that we have the largest Somali refugee population in the country, and we are so proud of our Somali community. I want to tell you a story. We had, about a year and a half ago, a young lady from Wilmer, Minnesota, named Muna Abdullahi, and my staff told me that she was a new Senate page. And they said that she had written an essay, her principal had recommended her, and she was very impressive, so she was a new page. So I went down to meet her. It wasn't hard to pick her out from the 30 new Senate pages because she had a hijab. And she's Somali. So I came up to her and I went, "You look like a Minnesotan." Yeah. She said, "Yeah." And so this June I went to the greatest event I've gone to in the last couple of years. And it was a high school graduation in Wilmer, Minnesota. And I invited myself so I could introduce Muna, who is a graduating senior, and she'd been chosen as her class speaker. And it was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And the kids gave her a standing ovation. And the class was about 65% Minnesota Norwegian German stock, about 15% Latino. The valedictorian was a Latina, and about 10% Somali, and Muna gave the class address. This fall, on election day, I was at the University of Minnesota getting out the vote, and I saw Muna, and she told me that her sister had just been voted homecoming queen. After that, when I came back here, I spoke to the French ambassador to the United States. I said, "What do you call a Frenchman? Who do you consider a Frenchman in France?" And he said a Frenchman is someone who can point to a village that his family came from in France centuries ago. That's why France has a problem, has an assimilation problem like Belgium does. There, to be a Frenchman, you have to point to a village that your family was from centuries ago. In Minnesota, our Somalis are Americans, and we vote them homecoming queen. This executive order is wrong, and worse than that, it's dangerous. It sends the wrong message to everyone around the world. This is not America. This is not America. Thank you.
It's not.
Don't let us down! Don't let us down! John, don't let us down! John Lewis still in the House. Okay, I'm going to yield to the Senate.
I am Richard Blumenthal from the great state of Connecticut. And I just want to say real quickly, you know, my dad came to this country in 1935 to escape persecution as a refugee. He was 17 years old. He had not much more than a shirt on his back. He spoke no English, and he knew nobody in this country. The United States of America gave him a chance to succeed. He would be sad and ashamed of this order. He was a proud American. But he would be sad and ashamed of a ban on anyone based on religion or race or national origin. That kind of ban and discrimination are not only anti-immigrant, anti-refugee, anti-Muslim, it is anti-American. We need to fight and strong and we will in this movement is capturing America. America is rising. America is rising, and it should, because this is a threat not just to one religion or one race, it's a threat to all of us. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Leader Pelosi, and now my colleague Jeff Merkley.
That was Jeff Merkley, who announced today he was going to filibuster Trump's Supreme Court nominee.
Oregon stands for liberty. You stand for liberty. Oregon stands for justice. You stand for justice.
Yes!
Lady Liberty is crying tonight. You stand with Lady Liberty.
Yes!
Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to break free. Isn't that what America is all about?
Yes!
Are you going to stand with the widows and the children and the interpreters coming to America?
Yes!
So let's send a message to Donald Trump. Read the Constitution. Message to Donald Trump. Learn about religious liberty, religious freedom. Message to Donald Trump. Tear down that ban. Tear down that ban.
Tear down that ban! Tear down that ban! Tear down that ban!
Tear down.
Ban, ban, and ban, ban.
Impeach!
Ban the ban!
Ban the ban!
Ban the ban! Fire ban and ban the ban. Fire ban and ban the ban! 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 Come on. Right. So I think that is it for speakers tonight. That was a ton of leaders from the House and the Senate who came out. I think they're going back in there for votes. They were just voting. Democrats managed to block the confirmation of the committee vote on Mnuchin today, which is great. They're fighting against Rex Tillerson, who was supposed to have his confirmation on the Senate floor start tonight. We will see what's happening with that. Maybe news is broken while we've been out here. But there have been several thousand people. There still are out here protesting against the Muslim ban here outside the Supreme Court and outside the United States Capitol. I'm going to flip the camera around just so you can see the crowd.
They're not talking, let's start walking! Ban the ban! They're done talking, let's start walking!
It is great to see Democrats standing up and fighting back and speaking out. We need them to do everything within their power on the Senate floor, anything they can come up with in the House to fight back against these guys. If you are watching this, if you're a MoveOn.org member, tomorrow there will be protests outside of in-state offices of Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate. For Democrats, we will be asking them to use every tool at their disposal to slow down and stop the Republicans from confirming their cabinet and doing anything to support the Trump administration in this moment of extreme constitutional crisis. For Republicans, we will be asking them to listen to their consciences and vote against Trump's extreme nominees. So MoveOn.org members, go to MoveOn.org/resist. You can find resources. You can search for a local action there and get involved in the actions tomorrow, the 31st of January. But in the meantime, thanks to all the thousands of people who tuned in tonight. Thanks to all the thousands of people who came here outside the Supreme Court. This has been a protest. I'm Ben Wickler. I'm here with my colleague, Jamia Adams, who's now in the... There we go. Who's here with me outside the Supreme Court. And thanks to all the thousands of MoveOn members who've been sharing this video, who've been liking and sending their likes, their angry faces, their hearts in support of Democrats fighting back. And thanks for all the Democrats who are finding ways to use every power at your disposal to fight back against the Trump administration. We need you to have all the guts you can. You were elected to fight back in moments like this. And every time you do fight back, we will be here to support you. Thanks again.